My name is Lambrou. I'm the Chief Information Officer at Metro MLS. I've been in the MLS industry for about 18 years, from support to development to management. It's been a fun ride for me. I've been involved in RESO since about the mid-2000s. In the early days, I remember taking the train down to Chicago and participating in a roundtable. Just a bunch of smelly guys talking about real estate data. Sometimes there was lunch, but always there was hope for a future where we do business much easier than where we were at. It was a collaborative environment that was really enjoyable. It's been a real honor and a privilege to be first chair for internet tracking and be involved in RESO for so long, and to watch something grow literally from a round table to a big event that's twice a year, that's extremely well run, and I'm just really proud of watching it grow. We've worked on it for about 2.5 years, and what we have now, since we've been published with Data Dictionary 1.6, is a really strong set of fields that engineers from all parts of the RESO community can really use to help improve the traffic of analytic information, share big data, and ultimately the winner is everybody in the RESO community. As we get more and more comfortable with big data, from the consumer to the management teams, there are some things we expect. When it comes to digital representation of analytics towards real estate data, simple things like viewing of a listing in different playgrounds becomes important, from homeowners to brokerage firms, as well as MLS executives trying to see what type of action they're getting in the products that they offer. For a long time, it was very difficult to figure out which of the products being offered was being used the most and at what time and by whom. This type of information is more paramount these days and easier to get. It's being done at all levels in all real estate products. So the background is there, the R&D is there. Now we're opening up the fields that information can be shared, so that instead of having to pull data manually from many different tools, parts of the RESO community can now create a tool that takes them all together and view them all at once, making a harder decision a little bit easier and faster. So the Internet Tracking Workgroup fields can help a brokerage firm in sharing end user activity, which is really what it's all about. Finding out not only where their data is in the internet, which is a big deal, by the way, from the brokerage firms, but also how many views it's getting, from what region of the country it's getting it, what time of day, what photos being looked at more than others, and comparing it to others within a group and how that's performing. This all can play very well into the broker as well as the agent level, and better understanding their digital footprint out there, which is digital marketing is a very important part now of the modern realtor. Our world is objects, so if it's a listing, it's an object, a digital representation. If it's a photo, if it's an object, if it's a document, showing would be another object that we'd really like to get involved in and get some analytic information fields, for when the house is out there, when the software shops are ready to share that data, we're right there, we have their back. The Internet Tracking Workgroup has contributors from all aspects of the industry, which is really what excites me and has really been a great surprise and pleasant thing for me as the chair. As chair, I'm kind of the facilitator of the conversation, and sometimes if it's too one-sided, we can get one point of view and we can have a standard that's not going to be well-fitting for everyone. But we're lucky. We have participants from the MLS vendor community, which is paramount. We have participants from the brokerage firms, and we also have participation from the consumer websites as well, the vendors who produce these products that face the consumers, which is great too. So you kind of have three points of view. We also have people from time to time from transaction community giving us their input, because their data set's a little bit different as well. So we're at the cusp right now where we've launched already. We figured out the way to transport the data, which was a really big deal, because you can have these fields and without a standard to transport them, they're going to be stuck. So we've crossed that bridge, and now we're kind of at a really nice point where we can take a look and deep dive into some of the things that we've opened up. For instance, open house. Open House, we've created some fields where in the digital world we can now have data on viewings and actor info and stuff like that. But what about the physical world? We know there's a whole bunch of metadata that the brokerage firms keeps and shares internally, but having the fields there for them to do that on a national level would be a good thing. Other things we're looking at too is something called the universal ID. The marketing world has had the luxury of being able to check when a consumer goes from one site to another for years. The real estate community doesn't have that. We have the fields, we call the actor fields, which is the end user, and we have the fields there already, but to piece that together in an anonymous way to be able to detect when somebody goes from one real estate product to another is a goal of ours. For my fellow MLS leaders, I would suggest take advantage of the work the Internet Tracking Workgroup has done, is mention to the MLS vendors the need for this type of information. Become more comfortable with big data. Definitely don't be afraid of it. Definitely don't make decisions specifically on analytics. That's definitely not a great move, not that anybody would, but it should be hand in hand. It should be something that's never overlooked. Understanding, your end users and what they're doing with your product or where your footprint is really paramount into bringing a better world for your membership, as well as filtering this information down. So it's kind of a two-way thing. You're improving yourself, you're improving your services, but you can also filter this analytic information down to your members as well and let them see how they're doing and all the different playgrounds out there on the internet. I really thought really hard that I really would like to see the industry pay attention to the representation of data. I think we have enough masterminds who have already worked the back end when it comes to database and creating mathematic equations, stuff like that, but we need more of an artistic view, maybe a marketing person, somebody who understands the visual display of data and the value of it. Other organizations I volunteer for, IEEE for example, has contests just on the visualization of the data because they realize how important it is to be able to transfer information to very busy people as quickly as possible. Line graphs and pie charts can only go so far. There's got to be always a better way to represent data.